All right. Hi, guys. This is week 3 of the third 9 weeks, Halloween week. I don't know if you guys are doing trick or treating or not in your neighborhoods. If so, let me encourage you go out and trick or treat. You don't have a whole lot of years left before it starts getting creepy and a little weird because you're going to be like really old to be out trick or treating. But you can still swing by with it now. So if your neighborhood is doing trick or treating, go out and get you some free candy. Relish it. You don't have a whole lot longer. All right. So let's talk about this week. I told you last week, whenever we did our kind of introduction to the sciences and how the sciences function, so on and so forth, that this week we were going to do some sciences. And that's what we're going to do. This week I don't have a lot of lecture for you. I'm not going to talk at you a whole lot because this week you've got an article to read, all right? And the article to read is right here. It's called the Soft Sciences article. It's not very long at all. The whole article is like I think it's like 4 pages, maybe. All right, and it's about so when we talk about the sciences, TOK talks about the natural versus the human sciences, right? And that's a necessary distinction. But I would say that in the science community, they are often spoken of as the hard versus the soft sciences. And the hard sciences are things like physics and biology and chemistry, where you have completely test controlled environments like a lab, and you're doing just completely test based experimentation in a controlled environment, uh, and then using observation. So these are things like CERN. These are things like a chemistry lab. These are things like pharmaceutical companies where everything is controlled, right? And you have complete control over all elements of the experiment. And so you can really get down to the nuance of differences and variation because of the degree of control over the variables that you have. And these are the hard sciences because there's not a lot of wiggle room. Most of your hypotheses come down to yes or no. Does this do this? Yes or no? Does taking this drug change get rid of my headache? Yes or no? If I drop this substance on the ground, does it bounce? Yes or no? Right? As where the soft sciences are things like psychology, sociology, criminology, anthropology, education theory, which is called pedagogy, or andrology, I think. Pedagogy and andrology, I think andrology is how adults learn. Pedagogy is how kids and young people learn. But these are softer because whenever you do experimentation and studies in these sciences, you don't get to control all of the variables. If I want to know, does this curriculum help students learn better, right? Well, I can give them the curriculum and I can give them an assessment, but there are all these other variables happening as well, right? They could be economic status, it could be things happening in their home life, it could be like are they doing virtual learning versus in class. There are all these other things that might have an income on that as well, or and impact on those results as well. So then our job is to try and figure out, right, how those variables are at play, and then how we can draw conclusions off of the data that we do have. And that can be challenging because you're trying to basically gather all this data, right? And then from that data come to some kind of conclusions. And that's what you guys are going to do this week. You guys are going to do a soft sciences activity around a wolf pack, and it's about how we try to operationalize our understanding and our analysis of things. So your assignment basically goes like this, and I normally do this in class, in groups, but we can't do that because A, not enough of you are doing the assignment. B, group work has been a hellacious experience in virtual learning, mainly because what happens is one member of the group is really diligent and trying to get the work done, and the other ones just never respond to them, and it causes a lot of undue stress to the one group member that's trying to get stuff done, and that just feels really unfair. And so I usually do so much group work and so much discussion whenever we're in the classroom, and it's just not working here. So instead, we're going to do this individually. So your idea here is basically imagine that you are a scientist and you are trying to understand wolf packs and how the dominance in a wolf pack works. How will you get to that alpha male, and how wolves decide who's in charge of their social group, all right? And so this lays out how the data was gathered, all right, which you should really pay attention to, all right? And then it gives a description to how they recorded data regarding behavior. And they've got active dominance, passive submission, active submission. And those are the 4 kinds of behaviors that they decided to track. And then your job is to figure out a way to, using this data, figure out who is to rank these wolves based on their importance, right? So alpha male, right, being number 1, right? Beta male being second in like control, and then omega would be last, and just rank them, right? 1 to, what is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 9 of these, right? Now, this is your evidence, right? These are our observations. This is your evidence, right? But we're also going to have to make some assumptions to come up with a like operationalized way of doing this. And what I mean by operationalized, I want you to come up with a math equation that you can use to apply to this data here, all right, that is going to allow you to rank them, all right? So, for instance, the most basic math equation, all right, is going to be something like, we'll do like, we'll just do, we'll call this all dominant minus all passive equals ranking. And what this means is that I'm going to combine the dominant actions and I'm going to combine the passive actions, right? And I'm going to subtract the total of the passive from the total of the dominant, and then that will give me a value, all right? We'll call this dominance rank, or a dominance value. Dominance rank, all right? Dominance rank, all right? This is the most simple equation that you can like come up with, and I'm going to tell you now, it doesn't work. If you try and use this, combining the dominant behaviors and then subtracting the passive behaviors to come up with a rank, it doesn't work. You end up with a bunch of ties. All right. One might imagine that I built this on purpose, right? So you're going to have to figure out a more sophisticated math example than this. But the idea here is to make an equation that you can use to then make sense of this data here. All right. And so, for instance, what I did here is like one of my assumptions with that math equation is that I believe that dominant behavior and passive behavior are of equal value, because I'm just subtracting the amount of passive behavior from the amount of dominant behavior. That means that I don't think that they're worth any more, and I think that they're worth exactly the like same amount as far as wolf ranking is like concerned. So I don't rate them any higher. Right? So that is one of my assumptions, all right? You may not believe that to be true, right? So you need to come up with some assumptions about this data and about how you think something is or is not important, and how you are figuring this like data out, and then give me the math formula, and then I want you to give me a justification on how you made this math formula and how you came to these assumptions. All right, that is what I am looking for in this justification section. Is justify to me why you used the assumptions that you used, and then why you built the math problem the way that you built it. All right, this is going to be due on Friday. All right, this is going to be due on Friday, and then we're going to talk about it next week. We're going to look at some of the math. And some of the math operations that you guys come up with to figure this out. We're going to look at everyone's rankings, and then I'll give you the solution. I will tell you how you could maybe best figure this out, or at least maybe there are several different ways to make make this work. And then we'll talk about why I had you do this, why I feel like this is one of the most important activities that we do whenever it comes to the sciences. All right, so again, read the article, do the Wolfpack activity, turn it in, answer the weekly discussion question, and that'll be it for this week for like TOK. I'm not going to be around much this week. It's going to be a struggle for me. I'm going to do my best to answer questions, but we have our IB authorization visit this week. It happens once every 5 years. Miss Mannings and I have spent an unbelievable amount of time and energy getting ready for it. You're talking hundreds and hundreds of pages of documentation. So it also has days and days worth of meetings, like all day meetings over a series of several days. So my availability this week is going to be kind of limited. I'm hoping to next week transition to live classes only. So no more recorded videos, only doing live sessions, so that way maybe we can get a bit more engagement, because it's not going super well right now. So yeah, I'm also going to try my best to catch up on grades this week during the evenings after the IB meetings are over. So pay attention to grade books, because I want to try and be getting those updated this week as well. That's all I've got for you this week. That's it. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. I understand that this activity might be a little challenging to wrap your head around, especially if you've never done something like this before. And if I'm having a lot of you with the same questions, I may do my best to record another follow-up video to offer some additional pointers or guidance or like whatever else. I may wait until we get into the back half of the week and look at kind of what's been submitted so far, or any questions that have been asked, and then give some more clarification, work through it with you guys a bit more, something like that. One of the things that I am going to encourage you to consider is, like, what do you do if you get a tie in your rankings? You can't have Wolves share rankings. That's not how a ranking system works. So you will need to figure out, if my operation leads to a tie, do I have a separate tiebreaker, or do I need to have some kind of tie-breaking element in my mathematical operation? All right. So yeah, that's that. I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you guys A, are enjoying the weather. It's beautiful outside. B, I hope you're doing your best to find some kind of peace here. They rolled back the middle school phase-in. The middle school kids are not going back this week like they were supposed to, which makes me wonder about us in January. I'm hoping that it can still happen, but we'll have to see. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope that you're finding a way to be happy and not going crazy. It's hard. I get that. Trust me, it's hard. It's hard for me too. I miss seeing kids. I miss my classroom. I miss feeling like a teacher. But as always, whatever you guys need, whatever help you guys need, let me know. So yeah, I'm going to do my best to wrap up the sciences hopefully by around Thanksgiving. And then from Thanksgiving to Christmas, I want to go over kind of the nuts and bolts of the TOK course assessment-wise from the IB perspective and what the IB is asking us to do. I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is the first year of the new exams, so they changed a bunch of stuff about this course over the last summer, and I'm still in the midst of a training course right now, actually, that I'm doing late in the evenings to try and understand how the assessments and how the content for the course has changed. So that's why I haven't gone over that stuff with you so far, because I don't have a real great grasp on it yet myself. So, but I will by the time that Thanksgiving rolls around. So hopefully between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we can go over the nitty-gritty and the nuts and bolts of how assessment works for the course, and how you guys can get IB credit, maybe college credit for the course as well. So anyways, that's all I got. Have a great one. Oh.